Hi, it's Miss Lesley from Youth Guidance Mentoring Academy, and today we are reading from my house. So, the book we have today is Monsters by Russell Hoban. Scooch you up, just like always. Monsters. John liked to draw monsters in his drawings. Do you have any that look like that? He drew monsters that looked like puddings with teeth. He drew monsters that had hundreds of eyes and odd numbers of ears. He drew scaly monsters, furry monsters, vegetable and mineral monsters, and unheard of monsters that were so monstrous they had to be invisible so they wouldn't scare themselves to death. Those look like scary monsters to me. He drew red, yellow, green, blue, and purple monsters. He drew spotted monsters and monsters that were all blotchy with different colors. I guess that's the blotchy one. Oopsie, kinda. All of John's monsters were violent. They fought with passing strangers and random spacecrafts, and they fought with one another, and if they found themselves alone, they made threatening noises to themselves while waiting for somebody ugly to turn up. "Rah!" they said, "Nog!" and "Argsvrr." Look at that one. That one's ready to fight. John's monsters breathed smoke and fire, and they used their teeth and their claws when they fought. Look at all those crazy looking monsters. They also used guided missiles and lasers, bows and arrows and spears and clubs and rocks. Look at all those. Can we see all those things? I found an arrow. John was drawing a battle between an army of red monsters wielding hammers and an army of green monsters with tongs when his mother looked over his shoulder. "Don't you ever get tired of drawing monsters?" she said. "Not really," John said. "Monsters are my favorite thing to draw." "Still," said Mom, "there are so many nice things to draw. There are houses and trees and birds and animals. Do you guys like to draw those things?" "Monsters are animals," said John. "I mean real animals like dogs and cats," said Mom, "or even lions and tigers if you like." "Monsters are real," said John. "Have you ever seen one?" said Mom. "I've seen them on TV," said John. "Yes, but have you ever seen one walking around?" "Not yet," said John. "Everything all right at school?" said Dad. "Getting on with the other boys and all that?" "Yeah." "And your teachers?" Mom said. "What about them?" "They're all right," said John. Any trouble with any of your subjects?" said Dad. "I used to have a terrible time with math and history." "Me too with math." I'm not having any trouble with anything," said John. "Have you gotten any really big pieces of paper?" "I've got some big pieces of brown wrapping paper," said Mom. She gave them to John. "Thank you," said John. He took the wrapping paper and with his felt tip pins up to his room. So I wonder what he's going to draw next. Ooh, little clip for you. When Mom and Dad came up to kiss John goodnight, they saw he'd done a drawing that filled up the whole sheet of wrapping paper. "What is that?" said Dad. "It's the tip of tail," said John. "Very spiky," said Mom. "Where's the rest of whatever this is?" "Coming," said John. "Must be pretty big," said Dad. "I guess so," said John. "What will it be?" said Mom. "I don't know. I haven't seen the other end of it yet." When John was asleep, Dad said to Mom, "That drawing doesn't seem quite the same as John's other drawings." "No," said Mom, "it doesn't. It seems somehow more serious than the others." "It does," said Dad. "And if just the tip of the tail filled up that big piece of paper, the whole thing must be very serious indeed." So that was just the tip of the tail. The next day, Mom and Dad went to see John's art teacher, Mrs. Blanc. "What did you think of John's drawing?" said Dad. "First rate," said Mrs. Blanc. "His monsters are in my class by themselves." His monsters are in a class by themselves. Oh, so she meant that they're really cool. Mom showed him the drawing of a brown paper, on the brown paper. "What did you think of this one?" she said. "This tail is very well done," said Mrs. Sponge. "It almost jumps right off the paper at you, doesn't it?" "John says the rest of it's coming," said Dad. "Should be quite impressive," said Mrs. Sponge. "You're not bothered by it?" said Mom. "Why should I be bothered?" said Mrs. Sponge. "Well, it's such a serious-looking tail," said Dad, "and whatever's on the other end of it is going to be so very big. I shouldn't worry about it What is she saying? "I shouldn't worry about it if I were you," said Mrs. Sponge. "Boys are naturally a little monstrous." I don't believe that. So that's them talking. The next morning, Mom and Dad found another drawing on John's desk. "I think we ought to talk up to Mr. Who? Blah, 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 blah. You ever gotta shake it off when you're reading? "I think we ought to talk to Dr. Plunger." That's a crazy doctor name, said Dad. So they went to Dr. Plunger's office and showed him the two drawings. So here's the other half of the drawing. So we're getting closer. We got the tail and now it's the middle section. "This could be something very big," said Dr. Plunger. "That's what we thought," said Mom. "Are you worried about it?" said Dr. Plunger. "Yes, we are," said Dad. Dr. Plunger wrote out a prescription. "Take the tablets as directed," he said, "and if the drawings continue, let me see the next one." The next day, Mom and Dad brought in a third drawing. "Dear me," said Dr. Plunger, "perhaps I'd better have a chat with John." So that's his parents with the doctor. When Mom and Dad brought John in for a chat, Dr. Plunger said, "Tell me about these drawings, John." "I haven't got a big piece of paper that's big enough," said John. "That's why I have to do it this way." "Looks like it's going to be something really big," said Dr. Plunger. I can't say. I haven't seen the whole thing," said John. So that's another part of the drawing. It's getting pretty big. "If I give you some felt tip pins and some brown wrapping paper," said Dr. Plunger, "do you think you could finish it for me?" "Are you sure you want me to?" said John. "Yes, indeed," said Dr. Plunger. So here's John with a big piece of paper again. Ooh, look at that. Big piece of paper, getting bigger. Look at how big it is at the bottom. "All right," said John. When Dr. Plunger gave him the paper and the pens, he began to draw very fast, moving from one sheet of brown paper to the next. It's getting big. In the waiting room, Mom and Dad heard a noise like 2 or 3 heavy metal rock bands all playing at once. What could he be doing in there? There wasn't a lot of music to it. It was mostly thumping and bumping and crashing around. After a while, it stopped, and they heard John say, "See you." And then he came out of Dr. Plunger's office with a big smile on his face. "Quite a lively time you seem to be having in there," said Dad. "You look very relaxed," said Mom. "I feel pretty good, actually," said John. "Did I hear you say something about seeing him again?" said Mom. "Who?" said John. "Dr. Plunger," said Mom. "I don't think so," said John. "Did everything work out? Did you? Get everything worked out, did you?" said Dad. "Oh, yes," said John. "Everything worked out." "No more monster drawings?" said Mom. He does look really relaxed. "Drawings?" said John, who was behind the door. "Whew, drawings," said John, as the door behind him slowly opened. "Who needs drawings?" Oh, there's the door slowly opening. Is that his drawing? Or is that something else? The end. Ooh. So were John's drawings coming to life after all? What do you think? So thank you for reading Monsters by Russell Hoban with me. Help me pick another book because I would love to hear from you guys.